Now we come to chapter 8, Sahassavagga, the thousands, verse 100. Better than 1,000 meaningless words is one meaningful word, hearing which one attains peace. 101. Better than 1,000 meaningless verses is one meaningful verse, hearing which one attains peace. 102. Better than reciting 100 meaningless verses is the reciting of one verse of Dhamma, hearing which one attains peace. So, like we do chanting, it is important to understand the meaning of the chants. If you don't understand, then it's no benefit to chant. So that's why some monks, they prefer to chant in the local language. But the majority of monks, they are quite attached to the tradition. For example, even like reciting the Patimokkha, the monks' precepts. Most Theravada countries, we still chant in the Pali. But the problem is not all the monks understand the Pali. So sometimes we just do it because it's a tradition. But a lot of it is not understood. If you want to understand it, then you have to chant in the local language. 103. Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself. 104 and 105. Self-conquest is far better than the conquest of others. Not even a god, an angel, Mara or Brahma can turn into defeat the victory of such a person who is self-subdued and ever restrained in conduct. So, the best victory is victory over oneself, not victory over other things in the world. Worldly people, we would like to make a conquest on the share market, make a conquest in business and all that. But all those are not important. Because in a few more years' time, when we have to pass away, not ascend, we can bring along with us. But our good karma, we can bring along with us. 106. Though month after month, for 100 years, one should offer sacrifices by the thousands, yet if only for a moment one should worship those of developed mind, that worship is indeed better than a century of sacrifice. 107. Though for 100 years one should tend the sacrificial fire in the forest, yet if only for a moment one should worship those of developed mind, that worship is indeed better than a century of sacrifice. People like to make sacrifices to heaven, to pray for all the things we want. People offer sacrifices and ask for this and for that. But if you do it month after month for 100 years, that merit, that blessings is so little compared to paying respect, even for one short moment, to a person with developed mind. This person with developed mind can refer either to a person who has attained jhana or a person who is an Arya. In the suttas, it is mentioned that if you do a wrong to ordinary person, the vipaka is a certain amount. But if you do a wrong to a person who is passionless, meaning a person who has attained jhana, he has subdued his passions, then the offense is much, much bigger. For example, even doing dana, the Buddha said, if you do dana to, for example, a human being who has no sila, no precepts, no moral conduct, you can get back, you expect to get back about 1,000 times what you gave. And if you give to a virtuous person something, a virtuous human being, then when the karma ripens, you can expect to get back, I think something like 100,000 times what you gave. But if you give to a person with a developed mind, this person who is passionless, who has attained jhana, you can get back 100,000 times, 100,000 times, which is very, very much. But if you give to an Arya, then the the merit or the blessings is uncountable. Uncountable. So, in the same way, if you worship one with who has attained jhana, it's very great, the merit. But if you worship one or pay respect to an Arya, then it is very, very, it is uncountable. The blessings is uncountable. Verse 108. Whatever gifts and oblations one seeking merit might offer in this world for a whole year, all that is not worth 1/4 of the merit gained by revering the upright ones, which is truly excellent. So a bit similar, you make offerings for a whole year. It cannot compare to being respectful to upright ones. These upright ones can mean those who practice the Dhamma, and can mean the Aryans. 109. To one ever eager to revere and serve the elders, these 4 blessings accrue: long life and beauty, happiness and power. Ayuvano sukhang balang. This is often in our chants. So if you respect and serve those who are worthy of respect, those who are considered here elders, then you obtain. Ayu is long life, Vano is beauty, Sukha is happiness, and Balang is strength or power. 110. Better. These 4 things are also when in the suttas is mentioned that if you make constant offerings to renunciants, food offerings, you can get these 4 things also. 110. Better it is to live one day virtuous and meditative than to live 100 years immoral and uncontrolled. 111. Better it is to live one day wise and meditative than to live 100 years foolish and uncontrolled. 112. Better it is to live one day strenuous and resolute than to live 100 years sluggish and dissipated. 113. Better it is to live one day seeing rise and fall, that means impermanence, than to live 100 years without ever seeing rise and fall or impermanence in the world. 114. Better it is to live one day seeing the deathless than to live 100 years without ever seeing the deathless. 115. Better it is to live one day seeing the Supreme Dhamma than to live 100 years without ever seeing the Supreme Dhamma. Here, seeing the Supreme Dhamma means understanding the Dhamma. Sometimes when you understand the Dhamma and you get right view, sometimes it is called Dhamma Chakku, and that is translated as the eye of the Dhamma or the vision of the Dhamma. So here is referring to seeing the Dhamma. That's what it means, understanding the Dhamma. So if we live all our lives and we don't practice a spiritual path, that is a wasted life. Better if you even live one day rather than 100 years. It will be a more benefit to you because you go for a better rebirth. Than to waste 100 years enjoying all the worldly pleasures, all the human pleasures, and then pay for it in tears in the next lifetime. So as we mentioned, I think last night, that if a person does not practice the spiritual path, he is considered dead, as good as dead. Maybe we have time for another chapter. Papavagga, evil. Papa is evil, chapter 9. 116. Hasten to do good and restrain your mind from evil. When one is slow in doing good, one's mind delights in evil. The Buddha says our mind is constantly changing, constantly changing. So once you have a determination or an ambition to do something good, you must quickly do it. And then if you have an intention to do something unwholesome, then you better postpone it. Maybe think about it again. When you think about it more than once, maybe you might not do it. So here it says, to do good, you must do it quickly and restrain your mind from evil. But when you have an intention to do good and then you postpone, you delay, then it's more likely you won't do it. Instead, you do evil. So in the same way, if we have a bad habit, then we must quickly change it. If we don't quickly change our bad habit, it gets stronger day by day. For example, laziness. If we allow ourselves to be lazy, day by day it becomes stronger and stronger. And then after a long period, to change is very difficult. 117. Should a person commit evil, let him not do it again and again. Let him not form a desire for it, for painful is the accumulation of evil. The Buddha said in the suttas, whenever we do any karma, we must reflect on it. Before we do something, we must reflect whether that karma is skillful or unskillful. Skillful means it is beneficial to us or beneficial to others. And unskillful means it is harmful to us or harmful to others. So if it is harmful, we don't do. If it is beneficial, we do. So if we constantly reflect before you do an action, and also while you are doing an action, and even after you have done an action, it doesn't matter after how long, you reflect on your action, then you always keep improving. If you don't always reflect on your actions, then you become blur. You don't realize whether you did good or you did evil. So it's always good to reflect. So if you know you did evil, don't do it again and again. Sometimes we do something wrong, then we say, maybe we do something wrong to somebody, then you say, sorry. And another day you do it again, and you say sorry again. But no point, instead of, you don't even have to say sorry, just don't do it again, and that's the best thing. 118. Should a person do good, let him do it again and again. Let him form a desire for it, for blissful is the accumulation of good. So if we know we do something is good, we should keep doing it, and then we will never regret. Instead, we get a lot of happiness from it. It reminds me, last time, I've said this before, one of the devotees told me, one lady in Penang, she said the mother died of cancer. When she died of cancer, her face was in great pain. But 1 hour after she was said to be clinically dead, the face changed, became very happy and bright, and so you can see that she was going to a good place. Because when we are dying, although the doctor says that this person is dead, it takes another 1 or 2 hours before that person is actually dead. And during this 1 or 2 hours, the mind keeps going. And these last thoughts, we have no control over them. So it depends on your karma. If you have a good heart, you always think of good things. So like this lady, after 1 hour, she had a very happy face, which shows she went for a good rebirth. But if your heart is no good, then you have a frightened face, because you see an evil, woeful place of rebirth. 119. It may be well with the evildoer as long as the evil has not ripened, but when it does ripen, then the evildoer sees the painful results of his evil deeds. 120. It may be ill for the doer of good as long as the good has not ripened, but when it does ripen, then the doer of good sees the pleasant results of his good deeds. So it's very easy to do evil because our human tendencies are greed, hatred and delusion. That's our natural tendencies. And we follow our natural tendencies and then we do unskillful karma. But if it has not ripened yet, you think you enjoy life. But when it does ripen, say on your deathbed, then you'll have to, and you'll have a lot of remorse and fear. But if a person does good, sometimes it's difficult to do. But when it ripens, then you, for example, if a person walks a spiritual path, practices a spiritual path, so sometimes there's a lot of suffering. For example, if a person renounces the first 1 year, or the mind always keeps going back to the home. Always keeps going back to home. So there's a lot of suffering. But if he persists, grit his teeth and bear it, then after a few years, when the karma ripens, especially on the deathbed, then you see the devas coming with a chariot to bring you up to the heavens. 121. Do not think lightly of evil, saying, it will not come to me. Drop by drop is the water pot filled. Likewise the fool, gathering it little by little, fills himself with evil. 122. Do not think lightly of good, saying, it will not come to me. Drop by drop is the water pot filled. Likewise the wise man, gathering it little by little, fills himself with goodness. So our actions determine our character. If we constantly do good, then our character changes for the better. But if you constantly do evil, then your character inside you changes in correspondingly. 123. Just as a trader with a small escort and great wealth would avoid a perilous route or dangerous route, or just as one desiring to live avoids poison, even so should one shun evil deeds. So we should avoid evil deeds like avoiding poison. When you take poison, you will suffer great pain or you will die. Even so, when we do evil deeds, either we suffer great pain in the woeful plains or we die again and again. For example, animals get killed by other animals, are eaten up. Then they are reborn as animal again and get eaten up again and again. 124. If on the hand there is no wound, one may even carry poison in it. Poison does not affect one who is free from wounds. For him who does no evil, there is no ill. So if your hand there's no wound, there's no open wound, even you carry poison, you are not afraid. So in the same way, if your conscience is clear, even people blame you, even people talk bad about you, you are not affected. You know that you are pure inside. This reminds me last time when I was in Thailand, staying in the forest. We stay alone in the certain areas, and at night, when there's no moon, and it becomes a bit frightening. The dark night, and you can hear the sound of animals, you can hear the sound of the tiger and all that. In such a time, when you examine yourself, and then you realize you have come here to practice with a very noble intention, and your precepts are pure and all that, and that gives you great courage, and you are no more afraid. So in the same way, if your heart is pure, your heart is good, whatever happens, you are confident, you're not afraid. 125. Like fine dust thrown against the wind, evil falls back upon that fool who offends an inoffensive, pure and guiltless man. So if a person talks bad about somebody who is pure or does anything against him, and then just like the wind will throw back the fine dust that you throw on you, so that person will suffer. That's why, like in this Chinese Buddhism, they say Be very careful, don't talk bad about monks. But in the sutta, the Buddha said, four persons, be very careful how you conduct themselves towards these four persons. 4 fields of merit and 4 fields of demerit. If you are good towards these 4 persons, your merit is very great. But if you do wrong towards these 4 persons, your vipaka, your karma is also very heavy. The first one is the Buddha. The second one is the disciples of the Buddha, meaning monks and nuns. And then the third is mother, the fourth is father. 126. Some are born in the womb. The wicked are born in hell. The devout go to heaven. The asava-free attain nibbana. So after dying, we are reborn in different places according to our karma. The arahant will enter nibbana. 127. Neither in the sky nor in mid-ocean, nor by entering into mountain clefts, nowhere in the world is there a place where one may escape from the result of an evil deed. Sometimes you do evil, and for example, the police is chasing the criminal. He wants to go and hide here, hide there. But when karma chases us, there's nowhere we can hide. 128. Neither in the sky nor in mid-ocean, nor by entering into mountain clefts, nowhere in the world is there a place where one will not be overcome by death. A lot of people, we don't want to die. And you find some people, they leave a will after they are dead to embalm their body. Yeah, there are some people, they pay a lot of money, embalm their body. They hope maybe in 100 years' time people can find a way to revive their body. Okay, we stop here. Anything to discuss? Tonight you're going to have a good sleep. Rain coming, going to be very cold.
They did not mention the word Arya and also Jhana. So is that correct understanding? Arya cannot be found outside of Buddhism. One. Secondly, Jhana, but Jhana outside external set also they do have Jhana.
This, the Buddha says you cannot find an Arya outside the Noble Eightfold Path. So like nowadays, Buddhism, a lot of, Hinduism, a lot of Hindu teachings were affected by the Buddha. So now you find a lot of Hindu teachings, they incorporate the Buddha's teachings. So if they practice the Noble Eightfold Path, like the Buddha taught, so you can find Arya there also. So it's not just Buddhism, it's wherever the Noble Eightfold Path is found.
One question. So does it Samadhi, they able to have jhana or samadhi, but without the Buddhism scripture or Dharma understanding, is that correct to say that Western sect will not be able to have samadhi?
Oh no. Samadhi is defined as the 4 jhanas. So if an external sect, ascetic attains the 4 jhanas, he has samadhi. But because he doesn't have the other factors, the other 7 factors, so he cannot become an Arya. Besides samadhi, in the suttas we find the Buddha talk about Aryan samadhi. Aryan samadhi is the 4 jhanas supported by the other 7 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. This is a time of Q&A, so if you have anything you all are doubtful about, I suggest you ask. Otherwise your doubts cannot be resolved. Kami muya.
Thank you. Teachers, we should appreciate teachers who point out our faults. But some of us may not even see our own fault. If you don't see our fault, we don't apologize and let alone how to correct and even. So I was thinking, how can a person know their fault?
Either the teacher points out his fault, or he sees it himself. Like if he understands the Dhamma, he practices according to the Dhamma, guided by the Dhamma, he can correct himself. But the teacher will only tell you your fault if he thinks that you are happy to hear it. So if a person is not happy to hear, the teacher won't tell him his fault.
But I feel some teachers are very quick. Certain teachers are very strict and very quick to point out faults of disciples. Sometimes maybe disciples make teachers like that to really wake them up.
Yes, but those disciples who want to be told their faults, they will seek such a teacher. A lot of people, they don't want to go to a strict teacher because they don't want to be told their faults and made to change and all that. So, if the disciple is willing to learn, should go to a strict teacher.
Maybe we were just discussing very church. How do we learn it? We are doing it. These certain teachers do not find out their fault. Some people they are not happy with people pointing out their fault. So certain teachers would prefer the students to come and ask them questions or to realize their own fault. But as certain teachers, they will not spare the students they will tell it off. So different teachers suits different people. But for people with a very strong ego, if they come under a teacher will not point out their fault, they're wasting their time because they're not going to realize their
Correct. See, like for me, I'm not one of those who like to point out people's fault. So that's why I say that this is not a training monastery. So it's better for people who want to be trained to go to a strict monastery, like in Thailand, forest monastery, and get some training there and then come back here. Rather not have new disciples, because I find sometimes a lot of people they are so far off from the training that it's too difficult to change them. And I'm here. We don't have the time. We are so short of manpower. We don't have the time. We don't have the inclination to teach also. So it's better young monks go elsewhere to train. It's more for matured people, this monastery.
He said that I believe we worshipping those developed mind will have a lot of merit. And I'm wondering, does this merit come from many worshipping him, or because we get close to him, and we hear something valuable, and we practice, and we get the merit?
Yeah, what the verse is saying, even just by paying homage, the merit is far more than making all the sacrifices to heaven. So if you learn from the teacher, even more meritorious. Okay, there's nothing. Can we end here?